Carson Hocevar says he's texted with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. after their incident on Sunday, and Connor Zilisch has added to his Cup Series schedule. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. In a few minutes, DJ from Victory Junction will join the show to talk about his journey from camper himself to camp counselor to now full-time Victory Junction employee. This is part of a series of interviews I'm doing in partnership with Victory Junction to help support their mission of providing an unforgettable camp experience for children with serious medical conditions. So stay tuned till the end of the show. We've got some news to talk about beforehand, like Connor Zilisch has added 2 Cup Series races to his 2025 schedule. The Trackhouse development driver will make his Cup Super Speedway debut later this month at Echo Park Speedway, please forgive me. He'll also run Watkins Glen later this summer in the Red Bull sponsored number 87. Watkins Glen, the site of Zilich's first career Xfinity Series win last year. He got that win in his first Xfinity Series start. Actually, when I was in Nashville this week and I picked up that Watkins Glen race win diecast. It happened to be on sale. Figured I'd pick it up in case Zilisch turns out to be the real deal. This would be a pretty cool piece of history to have on my shelf. I'm a little surprised they added Atlanta to his schedule, just because only a few weeks ago Zilisch suffered a back injury in a crash at Talladega. I know that he's young people bounce back quick, and I'm sure Trackhouse isn't that worried about Zilisch contending for the Xfinity Series championship this year. I'm sure they'd love to see him make a deep playoff run, gain that experience, but that's big picture, that's not the most important thing. But still, you're putting your young driver in an additional super speedway type race where crashes will happen, high speed, could be dangerous. That's a little concerning to me, but hey, I hope he does well. I think Zilisch realistically has a chance to win both races. I'm not saying it's likely, obviously, but Atlanta is a drafting race. Anything's possible. And Watkins Glen, his teammate Shane Van Gisbergen nearly won that race last year, and I think Zilisch will have top 10 pace. He is that good of a road course racer. So exciting stuff. 18-year-old, soon to turn 19, adding a couple Cup races to his schedule. From a teenager to someone who was a teenager not all that long ago, Carson Hocevar continues to be in the news. Last night, Carson won the Money in the Bank 150 at Berlin Raceway in his home state of Michigan. Great way to kick off Michigan Race Week. Eric Jones, fellow Cup Series driver, finished 4th in that event. I watched the whole thing. Carson was clean the entire time. I think he started around 7th or 8th place, methodically worked his way forward, played defense on the restarts, executed well, got the victory. Good stuff. The Cup race this past Sunday at Nashville wasn't quite as clean. Carson Hocevar, of course, made contact with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. early in Stage 2, sent Stenhouse spinning. Stenhouse crashed out. First DNF of the season for Ricky Stenhouse, knocked him out of a provisional playoff spot for the time being. And after the race, Ricky pledged that some form of payback would likely be coming Carson's way in the near future. Carson Hocevar post-race did not see that incident the exact same way.
I felt like I was there enough, right, to get a call inside and have him just kind of run the middle. So that's just what I expected him to do, and he didn't. And by the time I checked up, I almost spun too. So it's just a product of this, unfortunately. It's just everybody just kind of tries to get there, and I think there were a bunch of people that got shipped that either didn't wreck or did get wrecked. So.
We've spent plenty of time on this already this week. You already know my take. My opinion was, yes, Carson probably should have cut Stenhouse a break early in the race like that, but at the same time, if that incident happens with 10 laps to go, we chalk it up to 2 guys racing hard at a track that's tough to pass. Every position matters late in the race. It's all about timing. The problem really wasn't the move itself, it was the timing. Early in Stage 2, a third of the way through a 400-mile race, pick and choose your battles more wisely. Carson Hocevar, I think, wised up this week when on SiriusXM NASCAR radio, according to SiriusXM host Danielle Trotta. She reports that Hocevar said that he feels bad about the Stenhouse incident and says that he's texted with Ricky, and if they want to talk again at Michigan, they can.
We don't want to change and, lose our edge, but let's just round the edges off and have less moments of that and more moments of passing the other 25 cars without hitting any of them.
What Carson seems to be saying echoes what Spire Motorsports co-owner Jeff Dickerson said on Door Bumper Clear on SiriusXM himself earlier this week. It's not about slowing Carson down. It's just about timing. Having that awareness, understanding how a certain move could be interpreted at certain points in the race, understanding who you're racing against, and knowing that eventually some of these aggressive moves could come back to bite you. And when that happens, handle it professionally, handle it with grace. That's something Carson has struggled with at times in the past. He's a little older now, has more cup races under his belt. I think the hope is that that message is getting through to him, because Carson Hocevar has run top 5 the past 2 weeks. We're heading to a track that he could easily contend at. I've been on the fence all week, frankly, about actually picking Carson Hocevar to win Sunday's race at Michigan. Like, I'm this close to just pulling the trigger and going all in. I feel like the momentum, the speed, the mojo is there. I'm this close to picking Carson Hocevar outright this weekend. I think he has a great shot to break through and get his first career win sooner rather than later. He is right now the first driver out of the playoffs. There's a lot on the line with Carson Hocevar right now. No need to make additional enemies. It's all about picking and choosing your battles. Good to hear that he has communicated with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. The question now is, did he actually get through to Stenhouse? Do they see eye to eye, or is there still pent-up animosity? I think regardless, even though Carson texted Stenhouse, like, Stenhouse has the green light to move Carson the first chance he gets, in my opinion. Got to be subtle about it, but if Ricky wants to not cut Carson any breaks the rest of the year, I think he has every right. Anyway, we'll stop talking about Carson. He has dominated the headlines this week, frankly. Before DJ from Victory Junction jumps in here, one more bit of news that I think a lot of fans have been somewhat concerned with this week. Bristol Motor Speedway is making some changes to host the Speedway Classic between the Atlanta Braves and Cincinnati Reds of Major League Baseball. That game is a couple months away, I think early August, but they're already tearing down buildings in the Bristol Motor Speedway infield. The Goodyear Tire building is rubble. The track says that they will rebuild this structure, presumably before the Bristol night race in September. That's a pretty quick turnaround. But yeah, I think a lot of fans were like, wait, what? We're tearing down whole buildings for this one baseball game? I mean, yeah, seems a little drastic, but it's been interesting to see how closely NASCAR and MLB have been promoting this Speedway Classic game. I feel like baseball and NASCAR have tried similar things in recent years to generate some extra publicity, build unique events like NASCAR with the Coliseum, Chicago Street Race, or revitalizing North Wilkesboro, Bowman Gray, grassroots. Baseball's kind of done the same thing with like the Tokyo series or the Mexico City series or their Field of Dreams games that Fox, much like with NASCAR, is behind. And now the Speedway Classic, this huge thing. Like, I feel like both series, if you will, are trying to create events. So I guess I shouldn't be surprised then that they're kind of holding hands and collaborating on this Speedway Classic baseball game ordeal. Anyway, yeah, building has been destroyed. Demolition, reconstruction, there's a lot of things happening over at Bristol Motor Speedway. But now let's talk about Victory Junction. Founded by the Petty family in honor of Adam Petty and his vision, supported by many in and around the NASCAR and North Carolina community. If you know a child who would have fun at Victory Junction, or if you yourself would like to be a camp volunteer or part of the staff team, or if you'd like to make a donation, click the link down below, head to victoryjunction.org. For now, let's hear more about Victory Junction from a former camper and camp counselor himself. It's now my great pleasure to be joined by DJ Swittenberg from Victory Junction. DJ, it's great to have you on the show. I think your story is quite remarkable. So years ago, you were a camper at Victory Junction. We'll start there. We'll kind of break this into a couple parts. Tell me about your experience being at Victory Junction years ago when you were just a kid.
Yeah, man. Well, first and foremost, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to come and shine light on Victory Junction. So, yeah, I was actually 11 years old when I first arrived at Victory Junction. I was diagnosed with chronic asthma growing up. So, I never really had the opportunity to play sports and things of that nature. So I got here, just a little short kid from Thomasville, North Carolina, not knowing what he was getting himself into. But it was just an amazing experience. I was surrounded by so much love and so many different college students from around the country. So yeah, I got here when I was 11 years old, and I was able to come here for 2 summers, and it ultimately changed my life. Just a quick anecdote: I remember the first summer that I got here. We have this special event called Stage Day, and it's really like a talent show for the campers, where they're able to like showcase their skills. And I remember that I rapped on stage with my counselor, and literally me and my counselor, we wrote the rap together, and I was able to perform it in front of the whole camp, and like that memory is like seared in my brain. So it was amazing. It was amazing.
I love that. That's incredible. So now, DJ, you've gone from you were a camper for 2 years, and it sounds like it made a lasting impact on your life, so much so that you're back at camp on the other side, if you will. So tell me about, I guess, what motivated you or inspired you to want to come back and work at Victory Junction and continue to push that message.
Absolutely, man. So actually, before I even started working here full time, I was a cabin counselor during my undergrad. So I've been able to kind of like experience all different levels as a camper, and then I transitioned to be a counselor, which I did that for 2 summers. And I always said, like, even as a camper, like I wanted to come back and be a counselor. Like, the campers really idolized their counselors because they were just, so cool and so loving. And I was like, if I ever get the opportunity, I want to do the same for the next camper. So fast forward to from being 11 to being 19, 20 years old, I came back here and had an amazing experience. And then I honestly didn't anticipate working here full time, but, it was honestly a blessing in disguise. Our COO, he reached out to me. He was like, hey, man, I got a job opportunity for you. And I really, really need you to come back. So I decided to take that leap of faith and come back to camp. And it's just been an amazing experience to give back and to pour in that love that the counselors poured into me, so that way I can do the same to others. So
from being a camper for those couple of summers and then being a counselor for a couple of summers, did that give you any experience that maybe you've been able to utilize now in your more professional career?
Absolutely, man. Like being a camper, I really understand. I have those experiences of, being nervous and, coming to a new territory. So like I kind of look at the campers, I look at myself. I see a lot of myself in our campers. So I kind of use that to help go an extra mile for them. And like the cool thing about it is like there's like a connection that you can't necessarily name, but it's almost like I'm like their big brother in a sense. Cause like, I was just that kid that came here, got checked in and, was able to go to the water park. I was able to go ziplining. Like I was able to experience those experiences. So for me, it's like, it's just a deeper understanding. I try to go an extra mile just because like I know I was once in their shoes years ago.
That's great. Yeah, no, you've done it all. Continue to do great things with Victory Junction. DJ, really appreciate your time today. Really great to meet you. I love that hat, by the way. Very on brand, very stylish. I love that. But thank you so much for coming on here to share some of your story and to continue to highlight the great mission that Victory Junction is pursuing every single day. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. You take care.